Welcome to Ghouls Night Out with your hostesses, Brandy and Jody.
Hello, beautiful ghouls. Welcome. This is Brandy. I am here with my sister, Jody.
Hello.
So I have some facts that nurses have provided us that we may not know.
Oh, nice.
Patients don't know that someone has most likely died in the bed they're laying in. Sometimes just an hour or so before they were put in it.
Oh.
Oh my God, I have never even thought about that before.
I haven't either.
Yikes. I mean, they changed the bedding and shit, but still.
Yeah.
That is creepy.
I mean, well, yeah, they're not going to get a new bed every time.
No. And I've never thought about, like, people die in those beds all the time. And they just take off the shit and, oh my God.
Yeah.
If you're one of those creepy guys who keeps making sexual jokes or tries to flirt and ask out nurses, you will be labeled as sexually inappropriate on your chart. You will get a special icon next to your chart in our health authority. It's a purple dot. Every single health provider who goes into your room will know that you are sexually inappropriate with staff and to be cautious. This designation on your chart will follow you for the rest of your natural life every time you have an encounter with the healthcare system. So no, don't ask the nurse when you get your sponge bath with a leering smirk on your face. You will never live that shit down.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
That is hilarious. I wonder how many guys... And you know, honestly, I mean, guys are dumb and there's no excuse, but going to the doctor and stuff like that I could see someone getting nervous.
Yeah.
And like, that's their go-to.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
That is hilarious.
I won't tell you how long of a wait time there will be in the ER. We have no control over how many patients come in or how sick they are, so most of the time, I can't predict how long you'll have to wait. It takes one ambulance with a critical patient to blow estimations all to pieces. I won't tell you that we're less likely to take your complaint seriously when we repeatedly have to interrupt your texting, phone calls, or TV watching to ask you questions about your presenting complaint or your medical history. The ER is a busy place, and it is very frustrating if we have to fight to get your attention to help you.
Yeah, I could totally see them having to deal with that.
Yeah. So again, don't be an asshole.
Exactly.
As a pediatric nurse, we already know that your child is dying of inoperable brain cancer, but we aren't allowed to say a word. We have to watch you cling to hope, to the scan that will be negative, and spend those terrible hours knowing the truth. We already know the fate of the others who were in the car accident with you, but it's not for us to tell you, so we must keep a secret until the proper notification is given. We watch your precious baby who has passed away roll into a freezer in the wall and shut the door. I will take that to the grave no matter what the parents ask me to describe to them. We often spend hours in intercepting mistakes of things that could have reached you but didn't. While you sleep happily oblivious to this, nurses are constantly checking, protecting even the smallest to largest mistake. When you wake up, we say good morning and leave it at that.
I could not.
There's no fucking
be a nurse.
No.
That takes a very, very special person.
Absolutely.
To be able to be a nurse.
Absolutely. It's crazy. Yeah, you have to. There's certain things in this life that you have to have the personality or mentality for.
Oh, yeah.
And I am not one of those people.
I could not.
No.
I would be bawling.
Yeah, exactly. I would be more of a mess than like everybody. I would make everyone so upset. I just couldn't do it.
I couldn't handle it.
No.
I couldn't handle it. I can handle a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I could not do that day in and day out.
No, I couldn't
There's
either.
no way.
No. Sometimes we have awful patients. Some patients have been awful to me directly. Some have abused family members, and some are just mean people. I've taken care of child molesters, murderers, rapists, even a hitman once. The care that I give The care that I give doesn't change, though. I might not be as friendly to the rapists and child molesters or the patient that is belittling my existence. I will still give every patient full care, though. Don't expect a smile and polite conversation, but you can expect to get your medications and treatments just like every other patient. The choices that you have made are not for me to judge.
See, that's another
Yeah,
reason
exactly.
I couldn't be a nurse. I'd be like, oh, what's this that I could put in your IV, you fucking pedophile?
Oh, you have a
Oops.
giant open wound? Where's the salt? Somebody.
Oh, did I make it bigger? I'm so sorry.
Oh, that hurt? Oh. Oh, it's my break time. Bye. Yeah, that would be me. That's not
Yeah, I couldn't. Oh, no.
very unprofessional.
No.
I couldn't do
A
that.
child molester?
No.
They have no chance if I'm there.
No.
None.
No. If you are over 70, have any sort of terminal illness, or have severe acute illness with a poor prognosis, and you aren't DNR, then I don't know what you're thinking. CPR isn't a reset button. Whatever is killing you still will. You know what it's going to do. Best case, it gives your family a show while I break every fucking rib in your chest and turn the organs under them into mush, and we call it. Worst case, it brings you back, and now you're dealing with said broken bones and fucked up organs while still trying to recover from whatever illness brought you there. That's crazy.
Yep.
That's like, wow. They're just like, give up. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, just
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to live like that.
no, I wouldn't either, but that is like, to say that to someone to be your job, that's crazy. Like, you know, when you're sitting there and you know there's nothing that we can do to help you, you're gonna die. And these people are still clinging.
Oh yeah.
That's so crazy.
It
I just
is.
couldn't do that.
It is. I'd be like, just let me go.
Yeah.
Just-
Oh my gosh.
That's fine.
When we have a very sick patient who is severely disabled or very old, and the family wants everything done if the patient goes into cardiac arrest, we nurses ask, why, oh my God? Leave the poor patient alone and let them die in peace.
Yeah.
We cry about you. Sometimes I'd end my shift by sitting in my car sobbing because I'd lost a patient, helped deliver some life-changing news, or saw a patient improve drastically, and I was so happy. Your health and well-being mean a lot to me. Sometimes when I get home, I talk about you. I tell my husband or my mom about you. I tell funny stories. I don't give any names or identifying information. I try and keep it as generic as possible, but I need to decompress. I need an outlet for that stress. I need someone to say, you did the best you could today. The burnout rate is high for nurses. These stories help us cope.
Mm-hmm.
If you give me a hard time about starting IVs, it can have an adverse effect on my performance. Not because I feel vindictive, but because putting extra pressure on me can impair my concentration. I don't mind in the least if you confide in me that you're terrified of needles, but I'll do my best to make it easier on you. But please don't bark orders at me or insult me by accusing me of missing a vein just for the fun of it. Who the fuck does that? If you have stage 3 cancer, skip the chemo. It's likely not going to save your life and may actually hasten your death and or destroy the quality of the little time you have left. That's crazy.
Yep.
And my last one, sometimes we are experiencing our own tragedies, family health problems. Somehow we put that aside for 12 hours and give you the very best care we can. I've witnessed nurses fighting for their own cancer back to work a week later after their child was killed or died by suicide. Their patients might not have seen them smile as much as other nurses, but they still gave great patient care. Wow, these people deserve so much more than what we
Yeah, definitely.
give them. Those are my depressing freaking facts for the beginning. Sorry about
Well,
that.
yeah, they were depressing, but they were interesting too. Because you don't really stop to think about the
No.
nurses, you
You-
know?
you don't.
And you should.
I mean, we know the very surface of what they
Yeah.
do. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, we can tell by our experiences with them, which is hopefully little. Mm-hmm. But you know, unless you're a nurse, you have no fucking clue what
No.
goes into it and how just crazy it is that people do that for a fucking living.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it either.
No way. All right, so this week I am doing alien stories. So people that have claimed to see aliens. Okay.
Okay.
The first one is Sharon Gilbert, an author, reporter, and co-host on Skywatch TV, geopolitics enthusiast, and Christian podcaster. Gilbert takes on many roles daily. On the Jim Baker Show, she discussed her alien encounter. What makes Sharon's story interesting is that it is the opposite of the typical alien encounter. Most alien encounters start with witnessing the spacecraft before seeing the aliens. However, there was no indications or warnings for Sharon. Her encounter began as a frightening confrontation. While lying in bed, an alien visited her in the form of her husband. Her husband was lying in bed, and something disguised as him lifted out of his body.
What?
She insisted the creature wanted to have sex with her. The communication between the two was internal. Before she pulled the mask off, she told the creature, "Jesus is real." She revealed that it looked like a gargoyle with reptilian features. However, Gilbert never revealed how the creature left the room. If it wasn't worth mentioning, it probably wasn't an issue. A lot of responses to her encounter were negative once it circulated on the internet, but Sharon was unbothered by what people thought.
Okay, it had a husband mask?
I guess? I don't know. So it said the alien visited her in the form of her husband. Then it says her husband was lying in bed and something disguised as him lifted out of his body.
I wonder if that's how she perceived it, or if it was like hiding on the other side of the bed and like lifted up.
I don't know.
Because that makes no sense.
It doesn't.
It just doesn't.
And then it's just thrown in there that it wanted to have sex with her.
And she took off its mask? I heard something about a mask.
Before she pulled the mask off,
It had a husband mask.
She told the creature Jesus is real. I don't know. This story is weird.
I think she was half asleep and it maybe was hiding on the other side. So she thought it was her husband, but then it totally wasn't. It was an alien. Because everything else makes sense except for the husband part. Like, it looked like her husband. She said it had a mask and it came out of her husband. None of that makes sense. That's
It
weird.
doesn't. And then, so apparently after she pulled the mask off, it looked like a gargoyle with reptilian features.
Like, that makes sense if it was an alien. Mm-hmm. The telepathic shit makes sense. If it wanted to have sex with her, great. I don't... Oh, that scared me.
Like we're talking about aliens?
No, I thought it was police sirens, actually,
Oh.
at first. But, yeah, that makes sense if it was an alien.
Yeah.
But the other stuff kind of... It doesn't. It kind of makes it fall apart.
Yeah, it's weird. Okay. Bettina Rodriguez Aguilera, an educator, entrepreneur, and South Florida community activist, Bettina Rodriguez Aguilera has always connected with a diverse group of people. She even ran for the Republican primary election to represent Florida's 27th congressional district. With so much support from the people, some questioned if the interview she gave in 2009 about an alien encounter risked her election. Regardless, Rodriguez Aguilera never regretted or changed what occurred during the encounter. Rodriguez Aguilera claimed that at 7 years old, she was taken aboard a round spaceship. She recalled interacting with tall blonde aliens, 2 women and a man. She never mentioned any aggression from the aliens or being experimented on. Instead, the aliens provided her with information. She mentioned that they explained to her that the center of energy is in Africa, and God is a universal energy, not a person. Oh, that was it.
That's crazy. I believe her.
Yeah.
Now that it's come out that aliens are freaking real and they live in the ocean.
Yeah, there's definitely something in the ocean. Alex Dietrich. I hope I'm not the UFO tic-tac person for the rest of my life. This is not what I envisioned for myself, Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich was quoted saying after talking about her UFO encounter on 60 Minutes. In November 2004, Dietrich observed a UFO hovering over the ocean while training with colleagues. The UFO moved at speeds beyond anything she had seen before. She never claimed to see an alien or gave any indication of what she thought it was, just simply an unidentified tic-tac shaped object. Nothing less, nothing more. Dietrich never mentioned having an interest in UFOs and didn't entertain the idea or thought of it being more than what she saw. For the disbelievers, after hearing about a retired pilot's UFO encounter, do you believe in it even more? Yes, I do.
Yeah, they were literally talking about that incident at the UFO hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's freaking true.
Yeah.
And we can't deny it anymore. It's crazy. They need to come down here and pay our bills.
Yeah.
Or come up if they're under the ocean.
Yeah.
They need to get up here and start paying taxes because we need some.
We need some relief.
Exactly. You're living here for free, guys. That's not cool.
We have to pay, you do too. Angelia Schultz, a.k.a. Angélie. Angelia Schultz, who now goes by the name Angélie, ran as a Democrat candidate for South Dakota Senate and Secretary of State in 2014. Years later, she mentioned that she was a retired defense intelligence official. On August 17, 2021, Angelia talked about her alien encounter at a press conference in front of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. She mentioned meeting a couple at a Southern California coffee shop who eventually showed her the location of an alien base. She didn't reveal exactly where in the Mojave Desert she went in January of 2010, but she said that the man she met had excavated a tunnel on the side of a mountain. She said a bright light guided them to the secret alien base. She remembered seeing aliens with lavender skin and one that looked like a praying mantis. The conversations with the aliens were through telepathy. During her press conference, she stated that she planned to go back with other individuals. As of today, there is still no confirmation if she went back to the base. That's interesting because on, I think it was Monsters Among Us podcast, it was either that one or it was on Jim Harold's Campfire.
Yeah.
But there was a woman that told a story about seeing a tall, like a huge person-sized praying mantis.
I remember that. That was on Monsters Among Us.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is very interesting to me.
Very interesting, yeah. Well, yeah, they say that a lot of them, they're like reptilian. They look like bugs.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Dale Snipes. Dale Snipes, the author of 78 Years of UFOs, has experienced alien encounters since she was a child. The most terrifying encounter was at 3 a.m. when an alien tried to take her against her will. On the show UFO Witness, she told investigators that she woke up to a strange sound coming from the kitchen. Soon after, an alien appeared in her room and communicated with her telepathically. She mentioned that the alien, believed to be a star person, wanted to show her something and asked if she would come with it. It wasn't clear what the alien intentions were. During the encounter, she recalled trying to wake her husband up many times. She said even when she dug her nails into his arm, he still didn't respond. Eventually, the alien did leave. The next morning, her husband showed his arm covered with bloody scratches. Didn't that say she was...
Has she lived alone?
Oh, I guess, okay. She's experienced alien encounters since she was a child. I guess I was assuming this story was when she was a child, but apparently not.
Child bride? That is okay. I'm sorry. I believe it because, like, why not? But that's insane. Some alien rummaging around in her kitchen, and then he comes to her room. He's like, "Hey, I want to show you something. Come here." That's so fucking weird, right?
Like someone's gonna be like, "Oh, okay." No,
And it's in their head. They're like, "Hey, I want to show you something. It's a surprise." What?
Yeah, that
That's
makes
insane.
no sense. They're not. I don't believe that there's aliens that just pop into people's houses.
Seriously, like, what is
They're like,
that?
hey, you want to come with me? I'm not going to tell you where we're going, but
And obviously, she was fucking terrified if she's clawing at her husband, trying to get him to wake up. Like, didn't the alien read the room at all? Is that why he ended up leaving? He's like, oh fuck, I scared the shit out of her. Duh. That story's insane to me.
yes, it is. Shell Marie. Full of emotions and terror, a UFO encounter at Alaska Pacific University left Shell Marie with 30 years of traumatic memory loss. On the Aliens in Alaska show, Shell allowed cameras inside her hypnotherapy session. During the session, Shell starts by saying she went outside to smoke a cigarette. She remembers randomly looking up at the sky and noticing a large black object covered with lights and an unfamiliar language written on the craft. She mentioned she would have never known it was above her if she hadn't looked up.
Oh, is that it?
That's it.
That's crazy. I totally believe it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was actually wondering the other day, it was really cloudy, and I was like, there could be so much shit above the clouds that we, like, literally
Well, they
can't see.
even say that sometimes a cloud isn't really a cloud. Like
they're
it's,
a disguise.
yeah, like they're observing, but they're trying to hide themselves,
Yeah.
you know? I don't know.
I wonder why they're not trying to hide themselves as much.
I don't know if it's that they're not trying to hide themselves as much. I think people are paying more attention
That's very interesting.
than they used to. People are constantly like, it's like they say people are glued to their phones, but their phones are also recording everything. Cameras are everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I've got 2 in my house
Right.
alone.
Well, then you would really think that there would be more clear images by now. Than,
Well, they are starting to get clearer, if
Are
you've
they?
noticed. Yeah.
Well, the ones that I see that are super clear, I'm always like fake.
Well, yeah.
So, like, they can't win.
And yeah, exactly. It's you don't know, you still don't know
Yeah.
if it's fake or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it could be crystal clear, but people are getting better at faking.
Exactly.
Too. So
Yeah. There was one on TikTok that was, man, one, if it was real, oh my fucking God. But if it was fake, they did a great job. But it was this literal alien on their Ring doorbell, and it was covered in, it looked like it took some sort of like car tarp, like, and like was covering itself with
Yeah.
this tarp of some sort. Is crazy clear because it was just a Ring doorbell.
Yeah.
And it looked extremely convincing. But who knows?
yeah. Yeah, you just don't know
Yeah.
anymore. It's just, it's like you always say, you know, if you give, you know, proof, clear proof, picture, video, something, but on the other hand, you can make something look so real.
Especially now.
There's so much technology where
Yeah.
you can, you know, make your own stuff. So you still don't know.
Yeah, you don't.
You're
Yeah.
never going to know unless you come to, you know, face to face with it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In
Seeing
real life-
is believing in this situation.
In real life, no camera, you know, nothing. Just you and an alien.
Yep.
That's the only way you're ever going to
If an
believe
alien
it.
comes in your doorway and says, "Hey, I got something to show you." Just go. You might like it. You
no,
never know.
I know. I don't care if it's an alien or not. I'm not going anywhere with anyone. No. I'd be like, you can show me right here. And, well, also you can get the fuck out of my house. Show me out in the yard, okay?
No, we're not going. Go outside my window. Show me there. I'll look from in here.
And how the fuck did you get in my house anyway?
Seriously, what are you doing in my kitchen?
Did you eat my cookies?
Damn it. Saving those. Those were mine. Oh, I'd be so mad.
I know.
Aliens come in, start eating our cookies.
All right. Geraldine Orozco. One too many times, Geraldine Orozco would become pregnant and then have a miscarriage weeks later. Each time, there was never a fetus found.
Oh.
The cause remained a mystery, even when seeking medical advice.
What?
That was until she was taken into an alien spacecraft in October 2013. She recalled her body feeling paralyzed as she was surrounded by tall gray beings. In the craft, she mentioned seeing her children. She remembers noticing that they were part human, mutated with alien DNA. Ever since the incident, she started a support group for other women who experienced having their babies stolen from the womb from experiments.
That is fucking crazy.
I have actually heard of that before.
What? She
Yeah.
had miscarriages and there were no fetuses? Mm-hmm. Oh my God. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Where did they go? Are they in jars somewhere? Ooh.
No, they're half human, half alien.
Oh, you think they
and
just,
they took them.
and they like finished baking them
Yeah.
up there in the spaceship?
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I swear there are aliens like some people that I see, you swear they're an alien. Like I've seen people on TV, people with really, really bright, piercing blue eyes. That's unnatural.
Oh.
They're
yeah.
aliens. Or half, maybe.
Yeah. Who knows? There might be a lot of half.
We could be. Who knows? We could be. Every single person could be half alien for all we know.
Well, that's one of the theories, is that we
Yeah.
are, all of us are from another planet.
Yeah.
Somehow, like a meteor or something crashed into the Earth, and that's what created us.
I totally believe that because me and Aaron have had this conversation several times because like we can't get past babies, like human babies. If like Adam and Eve were a thing, let's just, like where did the baby come from? And how did it survive in, any babies?
yeah. How did we start?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, we are the only mammal that can't immediately walk when we are born. And, like, there's no way. Like, there's just no way that there's this tiny baby and it just happened to survive. There's no way. It's
Yeah,
impossible.
because when you're a baby, you just lay there.
Yeah, you are
You don't-
completely dependent.
Yeah,
on-
you can't feed yourself.
No.
You can't.
You would die.
You would die immediately. Yeah.
So there's like literally no other way. Like we have to be half something else.
That's interesting. I never really thought about
Yeah.
it. But yeah, you're right. It's like how the first being had to be fully formed.
Exactly.
Huh.
We know nothing. Or it had to have parents that took care of it.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, right?
I've never thought of it like that before.
Yeah. Me and Aaron have talked about this like it's ridiculous actually how much we've talked about it because it's like multiple times we're
Because
like
it blows your mind.
it does, yeah. It's like there's no fucking way. There's no way. And we are also very perplexed if we actually did go to the moon. How did we take off? Like when you leave the Earth, there's combustion and thrust and like, all this stuff. If we actually landed on the moon, how the fuck did we leave? How the fuck did they take off from the moon? Did they just like fall off and hope for the best? We'll gain speed. It'll be all right. Like what? It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
That is true. But for me, I don't understand how it works in the first place. So it's hard for me to
Well, I
try
mean-
to come up with a reason.
Obviously, I'm not a rocket scientist over here, but just basic visual confirmation. If you think of a spaceship taking off from Earth, it's a huge.
Well, it's okay. So when you take off from Earth, you need all of that because of gravity.
right.
There's no gravity on the moon, so it would be easier for a rocket to take off, right?
I
Because there's gravity is not
Forcing
holding
it
it
down?
back. Yeah.
Again, it's just one of those things that
Yeah.
we're just like, I have no idea.
Yeah, I
No
don't know
clue.
because I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not
But
a
it just-
genius, and I don't know how science works.
Need to figure out how they take off in the first place, like what causes that, and if it's even possible. Because again, it's on like this giant platform on Earth, and like it's all set up.
I mean, but
and
it's got to be like because of gravity. That's got to be the main
or we
issue
just
because
never
when
went.
you're on Earth, you've got the gravity that's holding you down. So you need something like huge
to lift it,
to push you off
right.
to get into space, right?
I would think that would be the same case on the moon.
But
not
it's
necessarily
because there's nothing holding you back.
So how did they land?
I don't know. I told you.
Don't know either. It just
I don't know.
it doesn't make sense.
I would have to do research. And that is not.
Maybe there's like drills or something. Because on the new Twisters movie, this guy had a truck and these drills came out and like drilled into the ground so his truck wouldn't fly away.
Oh, I need to watch that. Where's that at?
Aaron rented it.
Oh.
So I don't know. I think
if
it's
I
coming on Max pretty soon though.
Is it?
I
Okay.
think so.
Because I wanted to watch that because I loved the first Twister.
It's not as good. But
No.
it's
It's never going to be as
No,
good as the first
absolutely
one.
not.
Which I
But
need to actually watch the first one
you
again.
do.
It's been years.
I watched it recently. It
Did you?
so totally holds up.
Oh, good.
Yes,
I'm gonna
love
watch
that movie.
both of them.
But yeah, it could be something like that where when they land, it just like drills into the ground and like that holds it down, and then I mean, who knows?
Yeah, there's got to be maybe there's some kind of anchor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, sorry
right.
about that. I went off on a tangent.
That's okay. It was very interesting. Jerry Julian. Most things are kept quiet at Jicarilla Apache Reservation,
Oh, okay.
New Mexico. That was until Geraldine Julian talked about her encounter on UFO Witness. Rather than referring to them as extraterrestrials or aliens, Jerry referred to them as disturbed people. The first encounter she remembered was when she was sitting outside and saw a craft fly from behind a mountain. She said the craft descended from the sky to approach where she was sitting. Later that night, two small people tried to force her out of bed. She recalled she couldn't scream or do anything. Eventually, the disturbed people left her alone.
That's fucking weird.
So that makes me think that they look like regular people.
Yeah.
They were just... did she say they were little? Small people.
Huh.
So they look like small people.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Which they always say the Greys look like small people. Maybe they had husband masks too. I don't know. With the mask thing is still getting to me. I've never heard that. I don't think I'll ever hear that again. What? The aliens have
Yeah, I've never heard of that. I have heard about the owl thing.
Yes, and the Greys are little people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Jane Nelms. Jane Nelms is no stranger to having alien encounters. She told her encounters to KLTV 7 News. In 1973, she mentioned being abducted by 5 aliens. Then, in the 1980s, she mentioned one day being pregnant, and after a horrible night, she woke up no longer pregnant.
What the fuck?
Years later, she and a UFO group gathered in Winsboro, Texas. She remembered seeing a bright white light glaring through every window in the house. She also heard there was a gray alien outside. By the time she went outside to investigate further, she had heard branches snapping and noises coming from the ship ascending into the air.
That is crazy. So,
The white light glaring through the window. She heard a gray alien outside.
oh, I was gonna say, so like, guys, they could have children out in the world and they don't know. So it's not something that women have to deal with.
Yeah.
But if they're stealing babies, what if you walked down the street and you saw someone that looked like you but like perfect?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. Wouldn't that trip you out? Like if you had a miscarriage and you lost the baby and you like totally believed in this shit and then you saw someone that looked like you but like half you.
Yeah.
That would be fucking nuts. If they're stealing babies and like they're just out with us walking around, that is crazy.
That is crazy.
Oh my God. What would you do if you were pregnant one day and then literally the next you weren't? Like what happened? That would bother me much.
It would.
Oh my gosh. Yep. That is crazy.
All right, and this is my last one. Lily Nova. Maybe you heard of her, or maybe you haven't. Unlike most, Lily Nova's alien encounters didn't start as a child. Her encounters didn't even start with her searching for aliens. The COVID-19 pandemic in Missouri shifted her interest in astrophotography, which led to alien encounters. Her first alien encounter started in November 2020. She mentioned seeing a couple of crafts flying over the neighborhood. The more time she spent outside, the more frequent the encounters became. She started seeing different aliens. The one she remembered seeing the most had a blue complexion. She saw some with glowing skin and blonde hair. Rather than having physical encounters, the aliens sent many images of themselves through telepathy.
Here's that telepathy thing again.
That's what I was thinking. Like, okay, is it actually telepathy with aliens, or is it some kind of brain malfunction where you are kind of, I don't know what the term would be, but kind of hallucinating
thoughts in your head?
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, who knows?
It's crazy.
All right, I have you ever heard of the third man syndrome?
I have been hearing about that a lot lately.
Yeah, me too. That's why
That's weird.
So, like, I guess if someone's in a major car accident, I think that's what happens the most. This man will show up and help everybody, but then when they turn around, he's gone.
Yes.
So I have some of those.
That's interesting. I wonder why I've been hearing about it so much lately.
I know. I don't know. I have two. I was 5 years old in the back seat of the car while my mom was driving home from the store. I was so tired, so I rested my head against the car door and fell asleep. Suddenly, I heard someone screaming my name and yelling at me to wake up. I opened my eyes and asked my mom why she had yelled. She said she hadn't. Just then, a truck slammed into our car right where my head had just been resting on the door. Other than some bruising on my arms and legs, I was completely fine. My side of the car was smashed in. I'm sure I would have been dead if I hadn't woken up and moved my head. When my oldest son was 4, I took him to a local rural creek to walk around. It was a secluded location with no one else around. While crossing the creek, I slipped and sprained my ankle so badly that my ankle bone rolled over and touched the ground.
Yeah.
Knowing that I was in trouble, I immediately grabbed my son and got him to the car and home. My ankle was so badly torn that I couldn't put weight on it for another 2 weeks. When we were talking about it later, my son casually mentioned that it was good that those 2 men were there to help get me to the car.
What? I just got
I got chills.
chills so bad.
What? That's crazy.
Because really, that's what I was thinking when you were telling the story. How the fuck did she
Yeah.
get to the car?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I need more lotion.
My husband and I went out to lunch one afternoon. The restaurant had TVs hanging from the ceiling, and one of them was in the corner next to our table. As soon as we sat down, I kept hearing a voice telling me to go to the bathroom. At first, I ignored it. I didn't need to go, but it was so persistent that I decided just to go and wash my hands. I was in the bathroom for about 30 seconds when I heard a huge crash. When I went back out to the dining room, I realized that the TV above our table had fallen and landed on top of the chair I had just been sitting in. Thank God I listened to that voice.
Ugh.
That is
Oh,
crazy.
so third man syndrome is just voices, too.
I guess so, yeah.
Okay.
I was taking a shortcut across a frozen reservoir on the way to a friend's house. Suddenly the ice cracked and I started to fall through. I felt two hands slam into my back and I skidded across the ice. I was soaking wet when I arrived at my friend's house, cold and shivering. I told him the story as I changed into some of his clothes so we could throw mine into the dryer. My friend turned white and his eyes were bulging out of his head. He guided me to the bathroom so I could look in the mirror, and I saw what had disturbed him. There were two hand-shaped bruises forming on my back. 40-plus years later, I still get chills thinking about it.
Ew, that's a good one.
That is a good one. In 1996, I took a month-long cross-country trip. Once we hit Arizona, we stopped to visit the Grand Canyon. The place we pulled into was just a huge parking lot and the canyon ledge. My friends all ran to the ledge at the left, maybe 50 yards away. I found a ledge to the right that jutted out much farther, so I thought it would be a really good picture looking back at the Grand Canyon wall. I got a couple of good pics, then, because I was a chicken when it came to heights, I laid on my stomach and shimmied to the edge of my ledge to peek over. It was a vertical drop of several hundred feet, then a much farther drop once you hit the rocks. As I was looking over the drop, I heard a very loud man's voice shout, "No!" It shocked me enough that I backed up from the ledge and stood up. I figured it was a park ranger telling me to stop doing what I was doing, but as I looked around, there was no one there. My friends were still 50 yards away, nobody else was on the ledge, and our car was the only one in the parking lot. Then, as I was walking over to join my friends, I heard a loud sound. The front part of the ledge I was lying on suddenly fell and crashed down into the canyon. I have no idea what that was, but I wouldn't be here if it hadn't happened.
That's crazy.
I've been saved from disaster a few times in my life. I lovingly call it the voice, but it's more like a thought that breaks through my own in the form of a short, loud command. I'll share this one. One night I was driving to my children's school to pick up my oldest daughter, who was at a basketball game. There was no traffic and no cars on the road, and I was thinking how wonderful this was. It's so quiet and relaxing to be alone in the car for a bit with none of my other children with me. A rare event. Then a thought popped into my head. Accidents happen. Not realizing yet that this was the voice, I answered that thought with, "Yeah, but there have to be other cars on the road." Then I turned onto a narrow side street, still no one around. Then I hear in my head, very loudly, "Pull over." There wasn't much room on this road, but I instantly pulled to the right as much as I could, which was only about a foot. Instantly, this huge SUV came flying toward me over the crest of a hill about a foot on my side of the road. The voice saved me from a head-on collision. I was shaken, but now I believe without a doubt that the voice is my guardian angel. In 1981, my parents took me to New York to see a couple of Broadway plays. One day we were walking down a very busy street, and I walked behind my dad's wheelchair so I wouldn't get crushed. Being a curious kid in a big city, I fell farther and farther behind my parents. I was standing near a curb, and suddenly a big 70s Cadillac pulled over. A man in the back seat opened the door and grabbed my arm. At the same time, I felt and saw a man in a tan suit reach around my chest and pull me back hard. The man in the car slammed the door and the car peeled out of there. I turned around looking for the man in the tan suit, but there wasn't anyone there. The area around me was empty because everybody was surprised at what had just happened. I asked, "Where's the man in the tan suit?" And the people around me said, "We didn't see any man. It just looked like you pulled your arm away." Then my parents came running back to me. Again, I have no idea what happened, but my arms were both sore the next day in all 3 places where I was grabbed/pulled.
That one gave me chills,
Yeah.
too.
He was like, "I don't fucking think so, bitch. Get out of here." My sister and I were teenagers driving around town and drinking. We drank way too much that night. We shouldn't have been driving. Her car was pretty much a piece of junk that would quit running at random moments. Well, that random moment struck us as we were close to railroad tracks. The engine stopped and we rolled onto the tracks as a train was approaching. We were too drunk to realize we needed to jump out of the car and sat motionless on the tracks, staring in horror at the approaching train. Suddenly, the car started rolling, like someone was pushing it over the tracks. We escaped death by seconds. When the train had gone by, we looked to see who had saved us, but no one was there. That was the last time we were drunk enough not to be able to save ourselves. If it hadn't been for a mysterious push from behind, we would have missed most of our lives and never would have had our children and grandchildren.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. What the fuck?
Because a car just isn't going to start rolling on its own.
No. And if they're sitting there staring, like, what the fuck happened?
I don't know.
That's crazy. My daughter was in a bad bike accident when she was 11 years old. She did not have a helmet on and went flying over the handlebars when she hit a bump in the road while riding her new bike. She said that she felt like her head would have hit the concrete while going down, but that a strong hand held her head up and prevented a head injury. Her bike was totaled, but she was okay. To this day, she insists that it was her uncle who had passed away a few years ago.
Aww.
That's nice. One night I was at a party with friends. I drank a little too much and wound up leaving the party alone and walking out into the night. I was walking down the side of a highway around 1 or 2 a.m. when a van pulled up with 2 men in it, asking me if I wanted a ride. I said okay and opened the door. As I started to get into the van, I suddenly saw police lights flashing behind me. The officer called out my name and said, "Come with me, your friends are worried about you." So I got out and he drove me back to the party. When I walked back inside, I thanked my friends for calling the police. None of them had.
Oh.
I don't know how the police officer knew where I was or what my name was that night, but he was there and definitely my guardian angel. I believe something bad would have happened to me that night if he hadn't have been there.
You think?
You think you're getting in a stranger's fucking van?
Fucking walking around at night by yourself. Oh my god.
Oh, here's a van with 2 strange men in it.
Okay,
Sure, I'll take a ride.
Stupid.
One night I received a phone call from a family member who had previously tried to assault me. He knew where I lived and that I was alone that night as my husband was starting a night shift. He started saying horribly creepy things to me and I was terrified because he lived nearby. Suddenly a deep man's voice said, "It will be okay." I heard it as clearly as if someone was in the room with me. The creep on the phone said, "Who's there with you?" I heard a man's voice and hung up and I never heard from him again. That's
Fuck
awesome.
you, asshole. Wonder who it was.
I don't know. Someone better than you. I was living in Richmond, Virginia in the late 90s with my 2 sons and a daughter. My daughter was 18 months old. One day we were walking to the pool. As we were approaching it, I noticed that we were alone. I had the kids in front of me and behind me, and all of a sudden my daughter let go of her brother's hand and dove into the pool. It happened so fast, but as she dove in, a lady with golden hair and blue eyes dove in after her and rescued her before she hit the bottom. None of us could swim. I was dumbfounded when I reached the pool, and she just handed me my baby, soaked right through to the diaper. Then she disappeared. To this day, I don't know where she came from or where she went, and when I looked around, nobody else was there to help us. We never went back there again, though. Weird.
That is weird.
My husband and I were lost and driving one snowy, icy night. We happened to turn on a road that was downhill to some train tracks. There was a train coming, and we were sliding down the hill. We braced ourselves, preparing to be smashed into by said train, and suddenly our car was pulled backward uphill just as the train was about to hit us.
Oh my gosh.
After this occurred, we both had this weird feeling like someone was in the back seat, when in reality there was definitely not anyone else in our car at all. I'm not exactly sure who was with us that night, but I'm so grateful they were there. They saved our lives for sure.
Pulled the car back
Yeah,
up the hill.
Icy, uphill.
Wow.
Crazy. And my last one. The year was 1984. I was working in New York City and walking on my lunch hour along Fifth Avenue. The avenue, of course, was very crowded. Suddenly, I felt a man take my shoulders and lead me quickly across the street, exclaiming that a van was about to hit me. All I could make out about this man was that he seemed odd-looking and out of place in the city. When I was safe across the street, I turned to thank him, and he completely disappeared. Even asked a woman who was alongside me, and she said she hadn't seen anyone. Now, that to me was definitely my guardian angel.
Yeah. All right. It's time for the witty wrap-up.
Yay, Witty Wrap-Up!
We did some more Mad Libs. Hopefully, these are funny. We'll see. All right, first one is called How to Serve Wine. A good wine served miserably can make any meal a truly greasy occasion.
Ew.
The red wines have a rotten flavor that blends with boiled pussies or smoked dog poop.
Gross!
White wines range in flavor from deranged to fierce. The best wines are made by peasants in Canada from the juice of ripe losers by putting them in vats and squashing them with their stupid feet. This is what gives wine that wacko aroma. Here are a few rules. Always serve white wine in a swollen glass at feces temperature. Never serve Burgundy with fried vacuum cleaners. Wine should always be drunk ridiculously, or you're liable to end up with a yummy stomach. That one was okay.
Yeah, it's all right. I liked the juice from losers. I don't know if that's disgusting.
They did it with their stupid feet. All right. Next one is called Book Review. Brandy has just written a book called The Toilet Paper in the Gross Platypus. The main character... It's a horrible title. The Toilet Paper in the Gross Platypus? The main character in this naughty story is a nutty woman called Jade, who has just been elected president. She must decide whether to spend money on making dreadful bombs, sending people to the planet Bug Juice, or building goatees to accommodate the growing population.
That makes no sense.
The author creates many rude moments, and you will find yourself sitting on the edge of your cock.
Ouch, shouldn't that hurt?
Oh my gosh. You will find yourself sitting on the edge of your cock late at night because you cannot stop sweating this book. Jade turns out to be the greatest president in the last century and leads the people to peace and sickening. That doesn't make any sense. This book is written weirdly and should be nominated for an Oscar.
think you're the first person to stop in the middle of a Mad Lib and say this doesn't make sense.
You're like, duh.
Oh my God.
That's all I got.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is our last episode before our Christmas and Thanksgiving break that we're taking this year. So we will be back.
Okay.
Yep. We will be back on the 11th of January. Actually, we're going to record on the 11th, so it'll be the Tuesday after that. I don't know what that is, but yeah. So you guys have safe and happy holidays, and we will talk to you next year.
All right. Later.
Bye.